What's your favorite role to travel tournaments as player, commentator, photographer, or journalist?
Ooh, that's a tough question because I really like the variety. If I do too much of one thing, it can get kind of redundant. It was so cool going to the World Cup in Sochi and being a photographer for the first week. And
That
then
was a month-long
it was a
event.
month-long event. And
Yeah.
then like as the tournament started stretching on and more players started getting eliminated, it got very redundant and more lonely too as more players just flew back home. But the first week was amazing to capture like so many different players from all over.
And the
And
emotions of elimination as well.
right.
Yeah.
And recently, I mean, the three tournaments I played this year, I really enjoyed. Like conditions were top notch at all of them. Even the games that I just got crushed, I was really having fun and like just learning a lot from. And recently in Abu Dhabi, right after every game I played, I went straight to my hotel room and recapped the game for YouTube in like 15, 20-minute videos. And those made for like very fun content, and the games were fresh in my mind, and it was some therapy too to like even after a tough loss to kind of go back and see what could have been improved and just share like the story behind my opening preparation or share key moments. It was very enjoyable for me.
That's very interesting that you say that even after losses, you found a way to enjoy that and give it to the world, give it back to the world. Because, for example, guys like Magnus, I would assume maybe you're like that as well. After a loss is a loss, yeah, it's really painful, devastating, and you don't feel like doing anything after that. Also, you're not thinking about actually enjoying that loss. A lot of top players don't even analyze their games after they lose, and it's definitely painful. That's one thing I struggle with as well.
Mhm.
Loss is a big one, and I I don't know. I feel like if I go with the mindset that I can enjoy a loss, I'm not going to be as competitive.
Mhm.
Do you struggle with that at all?
Yeah, for me, I've shifted my mindset where years ago, yeah, like playing chess, it was mainly about winning and trying to gain rating.
Competitiveness, right?
Yeah, these days I think it's more about learning, but also being able to kind of share the experience or the story with an audience that can also benefit from these games. And like even I got crushed really badly by Abimanyu
Hmm.
in Reykjavik. Like I was losing a queen after 12 moves, as he hit me with some like annoying opening preparation, and like before the game, I looked up his repertoire and I saw he's only playing d4 and he's following exactly Sam Shanklin's chessable course in d4. So 20 minutes before the game, I bought Shanklin's chessable course. I looked at exactly the line that Abhimanyu plays, some like sideline with a6 early, and I prepared like 20, 25 moves deep. And then he comes to the game and plays e4 on move one. And all my preparation is in shambles. And that was a day with two games a day where like the first round of that day I played for 5 hours. I was so tired and okay, we played into some like Sicilian where he was actually following Wesley So's chessable course. I realized during the game that I just wasn't prepared for. Um, and my queen got trapped in some funny way. Like I overlooked some cool tactic, and like even though I lost pretty badly, it was a story to tell, and like just to have that experience playing one of the top young talents who in a few years could very well be like top in the world. It was a great experience
Isn't
to
it crazy
yeah.
that we're living in a world right now of chess when you can basically follow the best efforts of the best players in the world, and just with a click of a mouse, with a couple of $100 or whatever it is at that moment, you can basically gather and have the knowledge of the best chess players at your fingertips.
Definitely,
It's
yeah. And
it's just incredible
Well,
to
you
me.
can have the knowledge that they're willing to give you. Let's say
Do you think
you're
they
probably not
hold
going to
back?
get.
Do you think they hold back at all?
I
With
mean,
like for example, let's say I'll give you an example. Anish's Najdorf repertoire.
I mean, he'll tell you all the things that someone can find by doing the rote work themselves, but like the creative stuff, no, no, I don't think that you can get that. But again, that's a small part of it. I mean, you don't need that level of preparation to be super successful in openings, right? If you have Wesley's course, Sam's course, Anisha's course, that's like pretty much the best level of preparation that you can have
Mm-hmm.
until like you have those things where um, like calculated bluffs and openings or semi bluffs, things like that, which are are a little bit different. That's like trying to one up, the next best guy. Um,
And
but
this
yeah,
is a matter of like days. Yeah, yeah. Somebody plays something one day and then you have to one up that the next day, right? Because information travels so fast nowadays. And
yeah,
games are happening every single day.
yeah. It's also a very personal thing sometimes. It's like, let's say Wesley is playing Levon, and they know each other so well because they've played like 100 games, and it's not just about what the best move is, but about how he feels he can try to outplay his opponent. Which again, that's not exclusive to Wesley and Levon. That could be also at the 1400 level or the 2000 level. But yeah, that component is also there when you're very familiar with someone. So, but yeah, I mean, not to disparage any of the courses, like they're definitely great for every level, but they don't have all the secrets included for sure.
That's interesting. I bought Svidler's Grunfeld course.
Sidler was actually talking about this on the broadcast a few days ago that there's certain lines in that course that he held back as like kind of backup options that if someone's gonna like get his course
Mm.
and prepare for him, he has some alternatives to play that aren't mentioned in the course but are still like playable.
But
So
that's one of the things very specific with the Grunfeld. There are
mhm.
so many ways in which you can play as black, and probably with perfect knowledge, you're going to be able to equalize.
So that's every opening.
That's true, also.
Like,
Yeah.
Except the Stafford Gambit,
yeah, the
probably.
Every
Stafford
big
Gambit.
openings.
The Stafford Gambit is big. It's a big opening.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things of modern chess. Yeah, one of like I spoke to players who were at their peak in, let's say, the 90s, and they said they were in like a panic. Like, what do you do against e4 first move? Like,
Mm.
there's no way to equalize. And now we have like every opening equalized. Every opening is good. We realize the wealth of like possibility is dramatically higher than we realized before. Just chess is so rich that you can approach it in more ways than we thought.
Is it generally more difficult to get an advantage with white compared to trying to equalize with black?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
It's a real struggle. And the only real issue with black is that, like, let's say any player who really takes their opening seriously these days will have a really foolproof repertoire with black. Uh, but you can't so often remember everything. So, and you still have some things like you equalize, but you don't know the position so perfectly. So, you still have room to out prepare or outplay your opponent in certain positions. But actually getting an advantage, that happens so rarely. Like, I don't even remember. Like we were preparing for Linear, right, in this tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and um, all we were trying to do was just like get something that is a bit unfamiliar and a bit tricky. Every line that we looked at was objectively equal.
Mm-hmm.
Every single possibility he had. There weren't even like ways he could get worse. It was just like maybe at some point we'll get a game and then eventually it'll be difficult to play for him and I know it a bit better than him. But that's the extent of your optimism with white these days. There's no like getting a winning or even much better position. It's just unrealistic to think that way.
I loved your game against him at the American Cup. I forget the opening, but it was some like opening surprise where Engine initially gives like minus point 0.5 for you, but it's like so tricky and it seemed like you beat him pretty convincingly.
Yeah, this was
But
this was a symmetrical English
uh-huh.
with an early d4, and yeah, I wasn't sure about this idea
Uh-huh.
because it's like again, black has like eight options, and all of them are playable or half playable or tricky for white. So the amount of like risk that you take with white is quite high, and you're just hoping that your knowledge of the position is enough to compensate the fact that his position is quite decent, or even objectively slightly better, right? Like that's a risk that you're willing to take. It's probably the only way to make a huge impact in the openings these days, I think. But yeah, we saw a lot of like one of the most popular openings is the Italian now, right?
Hmm.
And the reason for that is it gives both sides so much room for creativity because it's not a concrete opening at all. There you have like a million ways to approach it, and then you just accept that it's an equal position, but it's a game, and now we just play chess. That's like the like if someone really wants to fight, they're going to play the Italian. That's basically the way it goes in modern chess.
That's one opening I've stayed away from, like online and like in tournaments. 'Cause it's so intimidating to just try and keep up with like all the emerging theory and like
And all the move orders, yeah.
all the move orders too.
Yeah.
It's like it seems like a maze of variations that
Yeah.
like
It's a total nightmare. I
uh-huh.
hate analyzing that opening.
I
When you're
played with black because I just hate the Petrov, playing the Petrov. I used to play it when I was a kid.
Petrov scares me too. Yeah.
I just played it when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
and occasionally it basically got me bored of chess, just
Mhm.
playing the Petrov. I know that's not the case for you. And
No,
it's
I'm like,
especially nowadays.
please play the Petrov. Anything besides the Berlin. Anything which isn't the Berlin.
And I have to face the Italian with black whenever I go knight c6, and I get confused all the time. I stayed away as white. I never play the Italian as white. But I feel like that type of situation, that type of conversion is happening with the Petrov right now. There's so many things and so many new details, especially with the emergence of like new engines and whatnot. You find new life in a lot of variations in the Petrov as well. And there's a lot of new details. For example, in the game against Lanier, we found that idea with h3
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have played it, or some people have played it, but only occasionally online. And if you don't know the precise move order,
Mhm.
then you're going to get in trouble. I feel that's what's happening right now with the Petrov. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, well, I think that all openings are expanding really massively, right? And the Petrov is one of them. But I actually have like, I'm a bit bitter about the Petrov because in 2017, I started playing two openings for the first time. I've told you this, right? And one is the Petrov, and the other is the Queen's Gambit Accepted. And once I started playing these openings, the entire chess world, all the like chess articles were like, "Is he ready to retire? How can you play these openings? Like, are you 70 years old? Like, how can you play the Petrov?" And now everyone in the world plays the Petrov and the Queen's Gambit Accepted. Like when Maxime starts playing the Queen's Gambit Accepted, you know that it's a trend. And like, where was this energy when I was playing it? I was getting so much hate for this, and now they're like the most popular openings in the world.
And sometimes when you're a hipster in a certain opening, you can get a lot of flack in the beginning, and takes time for people to
Like the
accept
Stafford
it.
Gambit, yeah.
Stafford or London has like this very uh, divisive nature about it, where it's like a lot of usually among like kind of the average Reddit chess user, like a lot of people hate it because it's boring and people just play the setup. But it has a lot of venom if you know it well, and I think it's also gone through its trend.
Yeah, I kind of heard this, or like I saw memes about like people hating the London, and
Right.
I thought it was like a fighting opening to get a fight, because you kind of just play like a sort of complicated middle game position without very concrete variations, and I didn't understand why why it's supposed to be so boring, but it's an interesting opening also because it was like always considered harmless for decades and decades, and then
Mhm.
suddenly people realize it's
There's a lot of venomous
yeah.
ideas if Black's not prepared, and that reminds me, I in the early days of my streaming career, we had some bullet match.
We did,
I was
yeah,
playing the
yeah.
Count,
Yeah, of
and
course.
in one of those games, you stopped playing the Grunfeld, and you started playing like some Nimzo setup. And
Uh-huh.
then like a week or two later, you mentioned that like Fabiano took over in a few of those games. I don't know if you remember, but in one of those games, like I caught one of you guys in this like super tricky
Was I
line.
was
I
I
remember
streaming?
this.
Was
I
I
remember
streaming
this.
or
I don't
what
think
was
you were
going?
streaming,
I
but
was
No, we were
I
just
may have been
playing.
streaming.
Yeah. We were just hanging out, and for some reason I started playing. I don't remember why. And
But one of the games I won in like 12 moves because you ran into this like c4 d5 idea and queen a4 and then some like double checkmate in the end.
Okay, please don't
Um,
ban me, yeah?
so for account sharing,
Right,
yes.
account sharing
this is the
information.
second cheating scandal
Oh
this
my
week.
goodness. Oh, please don't drag me into that. But wait, I did mention it. Yeah, I guess I mentioned it on a stream, or I mentioned it to
You
you
mentioned
after
it to
that.
me. Like there was mutual understanding, but
Probably.
then like a few months later, I showed this game in the St. Louis Chess Club London lecture, but I wasn't sure if I was playing you or you, so I
I
didn't know who
think
That's
the point
terrible.
I
was.
think I may have done this. I think I may have lost
Okay,
very quickly.
I'll have to dig up the
We at some
games.
point we played a match too. Like
Really?
I think it was Bullet or something.
But
On
from his account.
no, on mine. I bet
Oh,
it was like an anonymous account. It was on Lee Chess.
oh.
This was a long time ago.
Do you
I don't
remember
remember
your
the
account
year.
name?
It was always been Bomba Granite.
Oh yeah, we played.
Yeah.
I thought that was someone else.
No, that's me. It's
Oh, I thought that was Akshat Chandra. Oh, okay.
no, no.
Oh wow.
Not sure. I
Have
thought I
to dig
should
up our
take
games.
that as a compliment or not.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked that name because at some point I was playing this mobile game, Plants vs Zombies, like, and one of the plants you can use is called the pomegranate,
It's like pomegranate, like a
like a
pomegranate,
pomegranate,
but
but
a
it
bomb.
like throws,
Pomegranate.
I see.
yeah,
Wow.
so like a bomb, pomegranate.
I
Well,
remember we played on ICC back when you were adaptation, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
what was your handle on there?
I was Roger Federer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
But I went through a bunch of names on ICC.
yeah.
So
yeah,
yeah.
mine was Dictator, first one, ICC, then Play Chess. Then I took that, I think, to chess.com for a few years, and then it became the Count.
Mm.
I think when I started doing commentary for the St. Louis Chess Club, then everybody was like, "Yeah, he sounds like the Count." So I was like, "Yeah, sure, the Count sounds good. Yeah, let's go with that."
You had at some point like a bit on the broadcast called the Count's Corner.
Count's Corner, yeah.
Count's Corner.
Those were the first couple of years, I think, when I was doing broadcasts with the St. Louis Chess Club. Then we came up with this idea of setting up a corner actually next to the studio and just have this Count's Corner. I guess it was just rhyming, and it was something to do.
I love the special effects that they use with the bats flying,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
Dracula.
yeah.
It's
Those were
great.
good.
Yeah.
Those were good. Yeah, I had a lot of time with. I had a good time with the Count's Corner for sure.
Mhm.
Good old days.
Good old days. Well, Eric, it's been great. Thanks a lot. Do you
Thanks
have
so
any
much.
questions for us?
Oh dear.
You get to ask us one question.
Okay, so now that the tournament is over, what do you do with your life? Like, do you keep studying chess? You try and keep finding opening ideas? Like, what's your routine for
It
coming
just
weeks?
like stuff never ends. That's the thing.
Uh-huh.
It's I don't ever really get a break. I mean, I have a break from like tournament playing kind of, but there's like the Chess 960 and then the Global Chess Championship, and there's maybe going to be something else in some other online event in between. And now that we have this podcast up and running, this is also going to take probably a significant portion of time to, to film and to create new content. And so it just like it never stops, which is good because I get bored
good.
otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have like a list of guests you want for future episodes? Is it usually a guest format? Because I saw the first episode, just you guys.
Initially, and I think we're just going to keep it mixed. We're
Mhm.
basically going to have episodes where it's just me and Fabi. We're going to have episodes when there's guests. But since we are in St. Louis and there's tournaments going on, there's going to be a lot of people available.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, if we're in St. Louis, and the thing is, we have a setup where it kind of is difficult to travel around, and so it's easy once we're in St. Louis, once we have so many players available to shoot a couple of videos and basically do it in this format. But generally, yes, it's going to be a mix between just me and Fabi and having guests.
We're
as
thinking of
well.
getting Elon on.
Elon.
Yeah, to talk about chess technology.
We probably need to get to a
Indeed.
million subs before we can get Elon on the podcast. But Elon, if you're looking to find more about those beads you were mentioning, come on podcast. We'll discuss
Are you an expert?
all those theories. Yes, they will be discussed for sure. Eric, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Any
Appreciate it.
shout outs? Where can people find you?
Oh, the first shout out, subscribe on YouTube. It helps the channel grow. I saw you guys are almost at 1,000 subscribers. if not
2,000
past.
almost.
Wow,
Yeah,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Thank
let's
you.
get to 10K.
10K. Beautiful.
After this episode is released. But yeah, I think people can figure out where to find me: Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Can Google me, but
Any big projects coming up?
um, Maybe. I don't know,
Anything you
actually.
can reveal?
Some things might have to stay secret, but I'll probably be going to Toronto for this Global Chess Championship. And then I have like a lot of sponsorship integrations. My HelloFresh box just arrived, so I'll be doing a cooking stream. I'll be doing something with Audible later this month, and then something with the Chess Up smartboard. It's a really cool smartboard that lights up. So yeah, some things to look forward to.
Awesome, Eric. Always an innovator in the world of chess. We appreciate you, and I'm sure you'll be back on the podcast.
Hopefully. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.